Rather than the use of force, dialogue could be deployed to settle separatist agitations in Nigeria, according to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. The federal government is not ruling out the possibility of a political solution to cases involving Nnamdi Kanu of the indigenous people of Biafra and Sunday Adeyemo, popularly called Sunday Igboho, if anybody or any group comes up with such proposal. Meanwhile, 3 senior advocates of Nigeria, Femi Falana, Ebun Adegborua, and Ifedayo Adedikpe, asked the government to be quick about having dialogue with the various secessionist groups and the arrowheads in the country. Yes?
I think Malami is trying to be clever by half. What he said is that there is a possibility if some people can come up with that proposal. That's what he's saying. He's not saying that...
So what's the implication?
He's not saying that government has a position to negotiate with the separatists. He said there are 2 different things. He said there is a possibility that government can agree to a political situation if some people can come up with a proposal. I think that can't work. Government must be able to convince itself that there is need to negotiate with the separatists. Because you have to ask yourself the question, is again, I go to the cause and effect. What we are seeing with this separatist group is the effect of years of neglect and agitation. And some people within the Nigerian Federation believe that they are being marginalized and there's a need for them to opt out of that federation. So, the government is only concerned about the effect of such agitation. It's important for us to look at the causes of those agitation. And the only way you can do that is to negotiate. I agree that the government must not allow any group of people, no matter how angry they are, for them to dismember the Nigerian state. I will not support that. And I think the government must be firm in saying you cannot dismember the Nigerian state. But while you are going to be firm in protecting the territorial integrity of the Nigerian state, you must be able to dialogue with the component units within that federation who feel aggrieved for one reason or the other. You can sit with them and say, okay, look, these are things that we think is not right. And government will now be able to come up with ways to assuage such feelings. We have done it before. It worked in the Niger Delta, and it can work again.
Do you think if they're saying that they're even ready to dialogue, do you think these agitators, they want to sit down in the round table and they want to sit down in Nigeria? Somebody like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu now, he doesn't believe in that word, Republic of Nigeria. His own mandate, he has been saying it, and he has not stopped short of saying it. He's not saying this country is short-changing the Igbos. That what he's saying expressly is that Biafra or nothing.
That is what he wants. But it is left to government. First of all, you can't just rely only on force. This is not a government, as far as I know this government, that will achieve that dialogue with IPOB, Igboho and co. When you look at the track record of this government, you know what happened to Sunday Igboho. You know what happened to Nnamdi Kanu. I'm saying before he fled Nigeria. You get my point. So this government doesn't have, I think I have not seen the character in this administration trying to negotiate. No, it's this or nothing. This is a government that, you know, see what happened to Igbo. The government, the security agents invaded his home, killed people, did all sorts of things, and which is criminal in nature. Now, you say you want to dialogue. Before I can dialogue with you, there's this feeling of trust, this feeling of sincerity how will it come from? Will it just jump from the heaven? You that you love to do this, do that. So this malami of a man, I don't think, whenever he says things like this, I don't take it serious, because it's not categorical. It's like just saying something that means nothing. That okay, some people will come up with the proposal. What's the job of people in government? You have done force and force and force. Has it worked? Then you evaluate that, okay, having done this over the years, have we recorded success? If we have not, okay, what do we do? Look at the case of Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu had been around before this government, but it was not this powerful until during this administration.
Absolutely.
You get my point? It was this government that made Nnamdi Kanu an important person to some people or to many people. You get my point? Sunday Igboho, I'm sorry to say, was a nobody in Yoruba land.
There's not sorry there.
He was a nobody in Yoruba land. This government made him who he is. So the job of government is to say, not force. No. There are times, like Sunday Igboho, well, what do you want? There are leaders all over Yoruba land. Talk to him, do this. You can do everything, even without, the camera.
Sunday Igboho is not even the only. It's the Odua group. He said there's a group that's fighting for Odua's nation. So Sunday Igboho, it just happened to become the face of it.
So if you take Sunday Igboho out, there are many other ones possibly that want to do something similar.
So we should concentrate on those who want Odua nation.
We should go to the root cause. And when people are saying government is marginalizing them, that this is happening, that government should take a look at what is happening. If there are things you can amend, if there are things you can change, if there are sacrifices, give and take and all those things. If you are not doing all those things, and you said, I don't believe you. Whenever Malami talks, I don't take him serious. I'm sorry to say.
Actually, now the Attorney General is saying that it's not ruling out the possibility of a political solution. A lot of people are saying that this is the best way out, that if we continue to go to court, the court session might just take like forever before we can resolve the cases we have in court.
Well, I can see where the minister is coming from, and let's not forget that the minister is not the only person in government. Even if we believe that he's one of the hawks in the administration, I think history tells us that at some point in the life of an administration, it will feel the need to negotiate, especially if it cannot solve a problem. It will feel the need to negotiate and then see what happens thereafter. The minister didn't just say that, oh, we are ready to negotiate. He made the point that some conditions must be present before that kind of dialogue or negotiation or political solution happens. And I can understand what he's trying to say. That if some individuals step forward to say, look, on the Kanu matter, for example, that this is what we have come up with. We have spoken with Kanu in detention. He is willing to renounce armed struggle against the Nigerian state. He is willing to disband the groups that he had set up to confront the Nigerian state. Then it may become necessary to give such dialogue a chance. And we have seen this administration do that. When the Niger Delta Avengers were bombing our pipelines, they were bombing our export terminals. On this program, I advise that military cannot solve that problem. And the Niger Delta is not an area where you simply throw bombs all around. Even during the Civil War, the Niger Delta area was a challenge to Nigeria. any historian who read about the Civil War will remember that the Niger Delta area was a big challenge to Nigeria during the Civil War. At some point, it became clear to the administration that, look, dialogue will solve this problem. At that point, the Vice President and the then Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Bekachiku, reached out to these elements who are bombing our pipelines. And at the end of the day, the whole thing stopped. The sabotaging of Nigerian economy, to the point that we came at some point, we came down to like 500,000 barrels a day. A country with an OPEC quota in excess of 2 million barrels, coming down to about 500,000. So we knew that we needed to solve the problem, and quietly they solved that problem, and we saw the result. It is possible to do the same thing in the case of these agitators. I have said that it is not true that IPOB does not have people who can talk to them and they will listen. We saw that with what happened in the last election in Anambra. People like Chukwemeka Ezeife, the former governor, these are individuals that the IPOB guys still respect. And when you want to reach out to them, of course, you can use such people and then the Ohanese leadership as well. So if they could talk to IPOB to revoke his sit-at-home order, which was done to frustrate the election, and they listened, it means that there's a ray of hope there. It means that these guys, if we pursue that option, we could eventually put an end to the needless killings in the southeast. But of course, one thing is clear. Nobody negotiates from a position of weakness. The government will want to see what concessions the agitators are going to bring forward before they can then decide that, okay, it's worth listening to these guys, it's worth solving this problem. After all, Colombia, after more than 60 years of fighting the rebels, the FARC rebels, have realized now that it makes sense to sit at the round table. And because of that, the killings have gone down drastically because they've begun to engage these guys. So, in all wars, or let me say in most wars, you still end up at the round table. And I believe that was what the minister said. He was not ruling anything out. He was not ruling anything in. He was trying to be safe by saying, look, if we get a very serious proposal, we will take a look at it. That was the point I was making, and I agree with him.
Okay, I have joining us for more discussion on this is Richard Akinola, senior journalist. Thank you for joining us.
All right.
Yes. Uncle Richie.
Yes.
Now, how do we get out of this situation? Do you think the court cases should be allowed to run its course, or a political solution?
Every treason case is a political case. It's not like any other case. It's purely politics. Even from Taka, treasonable felony trial, then to Awo's treasonable felony trial. I mean, all are political cases. And up to Henry Oka. Remember, even Henry Oka's case is even similar to this Nnamdi Kanu's matter. Henry Oka was extradited actually from Angola in September 2007 and brought to Nigeria. And he was charged with treason. And he was being tried in Jos, at the Jos High Court. Then Yar'Adua came in, and as part of his efforts of rapprochement and on how to douse tension in Nigeria, he decided to grant amnesty. And in 2009, the treason charges were withdrawn, and Justice Mohammed Lehman freed Henry Oka. and Oka became the first beneficiary of the amnesty, and that was how the amnesty exercise commenced. So, and I think the same scenario we are facing now. Every war still has to come back to negotiating table. So I believe that nothing is impossible. Instead of going through all this legal rigmarole, which may be on for the next 2 or 3 years, and then it's better if there is such possibility, like the Attorney General has said. Well, fine enough. It saves all the time, saves all the trouble, saves tension. Tension goes down, everything. But as I think as Kolade was saying, that nobody negotiates from the point of weakness. So I think, again, that is very important, because who initiates this process? Because Attorney General cannot just go and finally prosecute for nothing, just for the fun of it. Who initiates the whole process? So, and I know that a lot of Southeast leaders have been asking for the release of Kanu. Perhaps if they initiate this thing, okay, let's sit down, let's discuss. Because at the end of the day, all these issues we're talking about is all about discussion, whether it's Nnamdi Kanu, whether it's Igboho on the Yoruba nation, or whatever. Whether we like it or not, the consciousness is there. Igbo nation, Yoruba nation, yes, it may not be actualized, but the consciousness is there. We cannot, we cannot wish that away. So the issue of settling the matter out of court is a strong possibility, and I think a better way to go.
So,
okay. Oh, sorry, Richie. I'm looking at it from this position. You know that because of the activities of IPOB, a lot of leaders in the Southeast have been held hostage. They may not like what IPOB is doing, but they cannot talk, because part of the modus operandi of IPOB is to use violence to make everybody to comply with the agitation. So how do you raise people that will negotiate on behalf of IPOB when IPOB themselves are be able to put a lot of people, apart from some people like Esefe and some few people, a lot of leaders are scared of IPOB instead of showing leadership? What's your take on that?
That's a major challenge, no doubt about it. In fact, if you take it from what happened the last sitting, for example, the hardline position of Kanu's lawyers by walking out from the court, because of non-admittance of the U.S. attorney. And yes, which that has further raised other controversy, that why was it denied or not. But again, I go back to Awo's case. In 1993, Awo invited a Queen's Counsel from UK as his counsel, as defense counsel, but he was denied entry by the immigration. So Awo went to court. That's the case of Abufan Awolowo versus Minister of Internal Affairs. The court ruled against Awo. It went up to Supreme Court. The panel was headed by the then CGN, Adetokunbo Ademola. I still ruled against Awo that, look, somebody who was not called to bar to practice in Nigeria cannot come and defend anybody or handle any case. So, and when you see that the hardline position taken by the council in that matter, and that further reinforces, that just as you said, it appears the situation is not as simple as we are looking at it. Yes, I agree with you, Mayor, that a number of people have been cowed, by the excessive use of force by IPOB. And maybe that's why some of them, just come and say, okay, release Kanu, and they do this and that. But that's a possibility that they may not actually, mean it from the bottom of their heart, because they too are afraid of their lives. But that's a different thing entirely itself. Because whether Kanu is released or not, even if eventually he's released or the matter is settled out of court, I think Southeast can never be the same again. Because now we are not even too sure who is, because I suspected, as I said before, that what is happening in Southeast may be under Syria. Because when the issue of against Assad started, it was just by one opposition body. They eventually splinter groups. I mean, arose, and today we see what the situation is in Libya. So that's why you have Biafran national. Because if at all Kanu is the EU is negotiated and taken out of court, there are other elements. Because I'm aware there was a group of guys in Biafra, even from Jonathan time, that were charged to court for treason. For different group itself, not IPOB. Because they went and see the radio station in I think Anambra State.
Yeah.
And the leader is actually a lawyer. They were charged to court, and the case dragged for too long. I don't know exactly what has happened to that case. So beyond Nnamdi Kanu, even if the matter is settled out of court, the issue is that what happens to other groups? What happens to other groups that are other splinter groups that I imagine? So how do you negotiate with those groups again? Which is a major challenge.
But I don't know if you want to ask Richard Akinola, if you want to ask him a question.
No.
Okay, big up. Adekunle Yusuf, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to add that in this kind of issue, when it comes to political negotiation, coming to the round table, the issue of trust is a big deal. Are you seeing a possibility in this kind of atmosphere when trust is not something that is easy to get between the parties? Are you saying it's possible within this atmosphere we find ourselves?
I think the issue of trust is very key. No doubt about it. Because, I mean, due to the rhetoric of IPOB, they don't trust the government. And I'm not too sure if the government actually trusts that, okay, assuming that we're able to negotiate this matter out of court and this guy is, the matter is withdrawn as is freed, then what happens if he goes back? Like, the last time when he was granted bail and before the thing snowballed into a major military operation there, then what happens again to other splinter groups within that zone that have come up, that outside IPOB, but still on the area of Biafra? So how are you going to negotiate with those people again? That's why I use the Syrian example. That is a very complex situation, because you can negotiate with one group, just like you have Boko Haram, you have the ISWAP. So there are different level of groups that you have to negotiate with. Even though we know that Kanu is the most popular of all of them, but the issue that I still believe that the issue of set out of court cannot be ruled out. But again, as we mentioned, the issue of trust is very key.
I want to thank you. We call him Elder in our circles. We remember where they call him Elder. Thank you, Elder, for your contribution.
Thank you.